My name is De'Sha, and I am a loan officer assistant here at iCore. And I'm going to walk you guys through how to work Encompass. So when you first log in, you'll be presented with this screen. I I made my pipeline a little bit more tailored to what I'm looking for and what I like to see when I open it, but you can do the same thing. So to start a new loan, you have to go to the folders that are selected and you want to make sure everything is unselected except for prospects. And then you hit OK. And now, if you didn't see before, this little tool here, the little paper, it wasn't available. But when you click on prospects only as the folder view, then this little paper will pop up, and that's how you add a new loan. Did you see it, Alma?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I
Perfect.
was just saying that the first one is missing.
Oh, Giancarlo.
Like, there's your loan.
Oh, is it actually you guys that I'm? Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So once you hit that little paper, it'll pop up which types of loan do you want to start. So your options are ARMS, conventional, DSCR, FHA, VA, USDA. So usually we start with a conventional file just because it's easier to change it to anything else if you want to change it. It's harder to change an FHA loan over to conventional because it's already set up as FHA. So start with the conventional template, double click it, and this computer is a little bit slow, so it'll take a while, but it'll pop up a new application, a blank one for you. All right, so once you open up a new file, this is what it'll look like. Everything's essentially blank. The first place you want to go to is Forms on you guys see where I am over here on the left-hand side. And then the first page I like to go to is Borrower Summary Origination. Now we can start on the 1003 page, the first page of the loan application, but this one sets it up a little bit easier for us to see everything. And whatever you put in here goes throughout the application as well. All right, so here we'll just start at the top. So application date, it's an active loan. We'll put in today's date. Investing type, we're unsure yet. Test name, let's do big money. Right, then we'll put in their social, their date of birth. And then another important thing on here is the marital status. A lot of people leave this out on their loan application, but this is very important because if they are married, the person they're married to has to go on the same application as them. The only person that goes over here in the co-borrower section is their spouse. If they're doing the loan with someone else, you have to start a second application, and that'll go here at this little pencil with the paper at the top. That's how you add what are called co-mortgagers. So the co-borrower is only your spouse. Co-mortgagers are friends, family, anyone else you want to go on the loan with you. Okay. Right. It's a little slow. So enter in a phone number. Home phone is important, but cell phone is also important. If they only have one number, you can put it in both. Email address. Current address, also very, very important. City. Yeah. I will never learn the zip here. I always forget the zip code here, but if you know the zip code you put in there. How long they're at the current address is also something that's very important. If it's less than 2 years, you have to put in their former address. If it's more than 2 years, then you're fine with whatever you have there. Their housing expense. If they're living with parents, friends, family, and paying nothing, you put in no primary housing expense. If they own the property that they're currently living in, once we pull their credit, we'll see their housing expense because their mortgage will come up. So you don't have to put anything in there. But for renters, you will have to put in how much they're currently paying for rent. Okay, so say we know rent here is $1 million right now. That's why we're trying to help people buy houses. All right, you select whether or not they're a first-time home buyer. That's really important. So like I said, again, this section is for the former address. All right, so now we're at the credit information section. So with iCore, we send out a credit card authorization form because the client pays for their own credit report. It's $65 per person. Even if it's a married couple and the credit report is pulled together, it's $65 per person. So this section, if they've given you that form already, yes, they've authorized it. You put in all the information that they gave you. So it was phone, internet, mail, face-to-face. Usually it's over the internet because they send the form back. Once the credit scores pull in and you actually run the credit, they'll come in here. Okay. So this section will more so be for our processing assistants. They'll handle the verification of employment, things like that. All right. So very, very, very important. Okay. Subject property information. Mostly for purchases, well, for any file, but mostly for purchases. You have to put TBD in here because if you put an actual address, Encompass will trigger disclosures. And once disclosures are triggered, you have to send out disclosures within 3 days, or you will literally have to restart this entire file. You'll have to retype it out again. So you don't want to do that. So TBD is what lets the system know we don't have an address yet. Now, if you actually have an address, you can put all the other information in here, the city, the state, the county, all that stuff. But the street address section, always TBD. Even if it's a refi and you're not just ready yet, put TBD there so you can prepare the file and you won't trigger your disclosures yet. Okay. This little section over here is very important. Property type. Even if you don't have an address yet, you know whether or not they want a single standing home, if they want a condo, if they want a townhouse. So just go ahead and select one because you'll need this to run AUS. All right, estimated value. I don't usually put the estimated or appraised value in until I have the loan complete, just because if we're the ones assuming how much the borrower could actually afford, well, we can wait on that part. Okay, so now we're getting down to the loan details section. The first thing we're going to check off, this is a purchase. All right, the property is primary. We already have that. The system template we chose was conventional, so that's already there. Lien position is first. If we're doing a HELOC or a HELOAN or a second mortgage, we would say we are the subordinate lien if we're doing one of those. But if it's a purchase or a regular refinance and we're staying in first, we got to make sure we put first. All right, amortization type, fixed rate. If they want an ARM, we'll switch it to ARM, and then you have to select the ARM options. All right, so now we're getting into another important section. Now this is the actual breakdown of the numbers. So purchase price, let's say 750,000. For a regular conventional loan, the minimum down payment, 20%. And for the most part, Encompass calculates everything for you. So you type in 20% there, it'll let you know exactly how much your down payment is, and then it'll calculate for you what your loan amount is. Okay.
So we actually have to put a price there, like a number there?
For the purchase price, yes, because really, essentially, that's really all you know,
Oh.
you know. So when you're talking to a client, they essentially don't know how much, loan they can afford. They know how much the houses they like cost. So that's what you can put in the purchase price.
And then
exactly.
later on, it could be changed.
Correct. Yes. This can always be changed if we realize their DTI is way too high, they can't afford that. We go back in and we play with the numbers. Okay, maybe we need to lower this down to 635. Maybe we need to lower it down to 500. Hey, maybe they need to move out to Riverside County and lower this down to 350,000. Like,
Okay.
this is the purchase price is the number that changes the entire loan. So, for example, if I go here and change this to 650,000, it's going to change my down payment because it's going to try to keep the same amount, the 150, but we changed that again to 20% because it's still a regular conventional loan. And it changes my down payment to 130,000 and my loan amount to 520. You see? All right. So the note rate is the interest rate. In here, let's see, what are we going to put? Right now, rates, I'm going to say about 6.5. All right, so you see it popped up at the top, what the rate is. Estimated closing date, if we're talking to somebody right now, probably gonna close around the end of the month, next month. All right, we know we're not locked yet. None of this information is important just yet. Affordable loan eligibility. We're doing a regular conventional loan with 20% down. We don't need this section. Okay, so now we're done with the borrower summary. And now we're going to go back over to our forms section. Sometimes things are a little harder to find. So you would do show in alphabetical order and show all. And then we're going to go to the first page of the 1003. 1003 is just the loan application. All right. So it should pull in all of the information that we put on that first page. Okay. So now we're going to get to the other important things on the actual loan application. So they have the name, they have the social, the date of birth. Are they a citizen? This is the next question. So you have to select one of these or your AUS is not going to come back properly. Expected borrower account. This person is a married man, but he's going to do the loan by himself. All right. Number of dependents. That's also something that's important. He has 2 dependents and they are 14 and 16. You have to put the ages in there. They're going to ask for that. Okay. We have his current address that he's renting. No former address because we already have 5 years. Mailing address. Sometimes people use PO boxes for their mail. You have to make sure you ask so you don't put the wrong information there. But usually people get their mail at home and you can just click this little box, same as current, and everything will transfer over. Another good section, military service. If they didn't have any military service, just say no. If yes, then you have to click the box that resonates with them. Language preferences, important as well. All right, done with page 1. We're going to move over to page 2. All right, this is a section that we usually don't ever get all the information on the first try. So I try when I'm taking applications myself to make sure I complete this section thoroughly. Employer name. Employer address. All right, city. And then the employer phone number, they're going to need that for the verification of employment. So we can, of course, just Google a number for their job and find it, but we know sometimes those numbers aren't correct or that's not the number to their direct department or direct supervisor. Ask the borrower. It's easier to just ask them. They usually have a number for their direct person that'll verify their employment. Okay, their position or title. That's also another one that a lot of loan officers don't ask, but we need to know what do they do for the company. Okay, their start date at their job. Also another really important one because if we don't have 2 years, then we have to do their previous employer. So how long in this line of work? They just started this job a month ago, but they've been in this line of work for 7 years. All right. So do you guys know how to calculate income yet? No, not yet. Okay. I won't be teaching that today. But once you learn how to calculate income, whether they're W-2 workers, whether they're self-employed, whether they're 1099 contractors, the way that the application is looked at is based on the month and the gross amount, not the net. So they're higher, amount before taxes. So we're going to say this person makes $10,500 a month. Okay, so now if you guys see, once I put that in, now we're getting a debt to income at the top, DTI. So now we're seeing, okay, they're under the 45% that we need for conventional. So it looks like they could possibly be approved for this house. Okay. So additional jobs or self-employment. So if they have a second job that they've been working at least 2 years, because that's also important, they have to be there for 2 years. Or if they have a side business that is a Schedule C on their tax returns and they've been running that side business for over 2 years, we use that here. Okay. The next box will be previous employer. So we know this person only been at their job for about a month. So we'll go ahead here and put in all of their previous employers' information because we have to verify that they have had a steady job for 2 years. And we have to make sure that their income is matching what they were making before or it's gotten better. Okay. Income from any other sources. And luckily, they have some options here. So alimony is a different source, capital gains, child support, disability, dividends, housing allowance. There's so many other incomes that people may have. So make sure you ask because they may not know, like a single mom that's making good money probably wouldn't know that her child support is also a source of income for her. So just ask if she has any other ones, and then you'll be able to add that into income and possibly you're able to raise her loan amount and she can purchase something for a little bit more. All right, so now we're at the bottom of this page. We're going to go over to page 3. Let me stop there. Anybody have any questions? No questions? Is it pretty simple? Are you guys getting it? Or is it a little confusing? It's pretty simple. Yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Good.
Good teacher.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll ask you the questions when we're actually doing it.
And that's fine too. That's okay. That's what I'm here for. All right. So the next page is assets and liabilities. So we're going to start with their assets. So who's this for? It's for the borrower, the account type, checking, savings, money market, retirement fund, wherever they have their money. You're going to put the financial institution, the bank, the last 4 digits of the account number, and then how much they actually have. Whatever numbers you put here is going to be the numbers that the system picks up on how much they have for their down payment and closing costs. So if you put they only have $2,000 here, but their down payment and closing costs is $250,000, they're going to deny them because they don't have enough money. So we need to see the money. Now, if they're like, I don't have the money just yet, I'm going to get my grandmother passed away and she left me her inheritance and I'm going to get $400,000 next month. You can go ahead and put that in there just, until we actually see the money. But she wants to get approved now, so we can put it there. Let's say 250K. All right, other assets that they may have. I usually don't put anything here because people are probably not going to sell their assets for this transaction. Now, the next section is liabilities. Now, if the person is not ready to pull their credit just yet, and you being the first person talking to them, you can just go through this and ask, okay, well, what's on your credit? How much do you pay? How long have you had it? And you can actually put them in yourself. But we always prefer to pull credit because people don't really know. Like sometimes they're unaware. So you will click the order credit section. I'm sorry, the order credit button. And then I'll show you the page that pops up for that. All right, here we use Unisource. So we're going to hit submit. All right, so this is how it looks, the page to order their credit. For me, it's already pretty much set up. All of my login information is here. We're doing a new request. It pulls the information from the loan application. And then down here is their credit card information. So card type, account number, all this information is what they will fill out on the credit card authorization form that we sent to them. And that's giving us authorization to actually run it and charge their card for the credit report. Because we're a lender that charges the client for the credit report, if they ask for it, we have to send it to them. So once you pull in the credit, you would hit import liabilities. A little screen will pop up with everything that's on their credit report and literally just pull it all in here for you. You don't have to do anything else. It'll pull it in for you. Okay. Other liabilities, maybe something's not on their credit that they know that they pay monthly and they want to be honest about it. They can let you know and you can add it in here. So if they're the one paying alimony, child support, job-related expenses, separate maintenance expenses, and you put it there. All right, now this is another important section. This is the verification of mortgage section. Do they have any other properties? And do those properties have mortgages? Do those properties have tenants in them renting? So you want to fill out all of this information based on the other properties that they have. If this was a refinance and they were doing a loan on the current home that they own, then you would click this subject property. This is not a purchase. This is a refinance on the home that we're living in. So property is used as primary residence. Property will be used as, if it's just a refi, property will be used as primary residence. Say this is not the subject property. They own a home right now instead of renting, but they're looking to buy a new home. So right now, this is where they live. They have a mortgage on it, but they're going to sell this property. So right now, I'm sorry, they're going to move out of this one and they're going to rent this out to someone else. So right now it's their primary residence. Once this loan is done, now it'll be an investment property. Okay. So for investment properties, we'll click on the verification of mortgage section. I'm sorry, this button was here at the top. So click that. And it'll pull up this particular property. And then down here is where you'll put in the rent. So he's currently paying $2,500 for this mortgage, and he's going to charge the tenant $3,800 for the mortgage monthly. So now PTI went down again because now he's making income, more income because he's renting out his current residence. Okay. This is debt to income. Oh. That's the important factor on whether or not you can afford the property that you're looking at.
What number do you?
So for a regular conventional loan, under 45. For an FHA loan, under 55. Sometimes you can get a little bit higher, a little bit lower, just depending. But Once you run it, AUS will tell you the yes or no. But for conventional, we're looking at under 45%. Now, remember, we don't have any liabilities. This person that makes $10,000 a month probably has some liabilities. So this will probably go up to like 38% because they have maybe a car. We know he has the mortgage that he's paying for. All those things will come up and that'll count against his debt to income. Things that don't count against your debt to income, your cell phone bill, your electric bill, anything that's not on your credit doesn't count. Okay. All right. Sometimes people own a lot of properties. I have a client now that owns 8.
Oh, wow.
Only 3 of them has mortgages on them, but he has 8 properties. So we have to make sure we list them all out just in case he's delinquent on any taxes or anything like that. We want to know about that because we're about to give this man a lot of money to buy another house. We want to make sure he's good on the other ones before we do so. Okay. And the last page is the loan and property information page. So page 4. So now we're going to go ahead and get into the details of the actual loan. So number of units, 1 unit. We don't really care too much about the year built. Now that we know the property purchase price is $650,000, we're going to hope once that appraisal comes in, it matches the purchase price. Hopefully, you have a good realtor, and if it doesn't match the purchase price, you're able to, once the appraisal comes in, you're able to lower it. Say they have it listed for $700,000. The appraisal comes in and it says, actually, it's only worth $650,000. Your lender is not going to want to pay $700,000 for a $650,000 house. So it should be in your contract. Hey, if this appraisal comes in lower, we're able to change it, and then we'll be able to change the loan amount and match it to the actual value of the property. Okay. So because we filled out the first page, the borrower information origination page, most of this stuff is filled out for us already. But a few things that some people miss. So we got the loan type, we got the loan purpose, it's a purchase. The next section is construction method. Site built is most homes, and you have to click one of those because AUS will give you an error if you don't click one of those in that section. You don't really have to do this because it's a manufactured home. Some people are still buying manufactured homes these days, but you'll know very specifically if that's what they're looking for. People will tell you that they want a manufactured home. So that's what this little section is. We don't get too many mixed use properties. Mixed use properties are properties that are businesses on the bottom and residential on the top, or in the front and the back. Okay. This rental income, this is more for an investment property. If you're purchasing a home to rent out. This section, gifts or grants you will receive for this loan. So if your grandmother is giving you money, you'll put that information here. So show all gifts or grants, and you'll hit this little button to add it. And then you put in all the information of who's giving you the money and where the money is coming from. Because that's really the most important thing in a purchase transaction. Where's the money coming from? Where are you getting this money? Is it stolen? Did you earn it? How did you earn it? How long have you been earning it? That's what we want to know to make sure this person is trustworthy and they're going to pay us back. Okay, so this is the other important section. It's the declaration section. I'm going to say 75% of my loan officers don't complete this section for their clients. Super easy. I just go through and say, I'm going to ask you yes or no questions. Just say yes or no. Ask the first one. Will you occupy this property as a primary residence? Most of the time it'll be yes, because it's a purchase. They're going to live there. Have you had any ownership or interest in any other property in the last 3 years? If yes, you put yes. If no, you put no. If the answer is yes, then you'll tell what type of property you've had ownership interest in. Was it a primary residence? Was it an FHA secondary residence? Was it a second home? Do you have investment properties? All right. Do you have a family relationship or business affiliation with the seller of the property? I know that's very specific, but it happens sometimes. I have a client who's buying a home from her mother and her aunt. Her mother and her aunt were granted this home from their mother, so her grandmother, and she's buying the home from them. This is important because that's what's called an arm's length transaction. They're purchasing something from family, so it's probably not going to go at market value. They're going to give them a deal on it. So we would like to know if they're getting a deal on this property and if how much equity are they actually saving by purchasing from a family member. Okay. Are you borrowing money for this real estate transaction? So are you borrowing money from another party? Are you borrowing money from the seller, the realtor? We hope this one is no, because you are not supposed to borrow money. People can gift you money, people can grant you money, but you shouldn't borrow money to purchase a home. It's like getting a loan to get a loan. You shouldn't get a loan to get a loan. Okay. Have you or will you be applying for a mortgage loan on another property? I would hope not. One at a time. One at a time. Okay. Have you or will you be applying for any new credit? All right. You guys know we don't want anybody applying for credit cards, buying a new car, buying anything crazy while they're doing this transaction. So this is your time to let them know, like, hey, I know your car note is, you're almost paid off. Let's wait until after the purchase to go get that new car. Like, let us finish this transaction because we don't want your credit score going down. If you get a new car, then what happens? That means you have a new payment and it's going to change your debt to income ratio. We want to keep that the same throughout the entire transaction. Okay. Will the subject property be subject to a lien that can take priority over the first lien, such as clean energy lien paid through your property taxes? This can also be other things. If somebody sued you, that can be a lien on your property. And we want to make sure that we know what we're getting into. All right. Are you a co-signer or guarantor on any debt or loan that is not disclosed on the application? So once we pulled credit, now we know all of their debts, everything that they owe. We think, what if it's something that they owe that's not on their credit? We need to know about that. Or what if it's something that they co-signed for that we don't know about? We need to know about it now. Now is the time for them to answer the question, yes or no. Are there any outstanding judgments against you? Like I said, if somebody sues them and they owe somebody money, it's not going to come up on the credit, but it might come up on title. It might come up on government search. All these other things are going to happen later on in the file. We want to know now so we don't have any hiccups later. All right. Are you currently delinquent on any federal debt? Do you owe the IRS? Because they're going to come and get you. And we don't want them to take the house we just gave you. All right. Are you a party to any lawsuit? So yeah, you don't have any judgments now, but will you have a judgment in the next 6 months that's going to cost the price of this house? We would like to know that now. All right. Foreclosures. We can lend to people that have had foreclosures, but we prefer not to do any that has happened in the last 7 years. So just ask the question, let us know. Maybe they were going through something at that time. Same thing for the next 3 questions are all foreclosures. The last one is bankruptcy. Same thing. Has it happened in the last 7 years? In certain bankruptcies, we don't mind. I think it's a chapter 13. I think it's 3 years or something like that with FHA. Like some of them you can get through before 7 years, but this country has assumed that it takes about 7 years to get back financially stable after those things. So usually people don't apply until after that 7 years. All right. So essentially that's about it for the loan application. There's really nothing more. Let's see. This page can get a little intimidating. This is the itemization page. This is where we come to input the fees. This is where your fee as the loan officer will go. This is where all the title and escrow fees will go. And most importantly, like I said, it looks a little intimidating because it's a lot and everybody doesn't know how to input the fees. But I wanted to show you this section because this is where you can actually see right now with how the loan is set up, this $134,768.85. That's how much they have to bring into closing. So if you ever want to know how much they have to bring into closing, that number is going to be on the 2015 itemization page all the way at the bottom. Okay. So when they're like, okay, how much am I short to close? Or what are my funds to close? That's going to be your number. Now, that number is ever changing for all the things that we're putting in, taking out, adding in. Maybe they need to pay off a few debts and we click them to be paid off. That number is going to increase. Maybe they got a little bit more money. So instead of 20%, they want to put 30% down. So that number is going to increase. So there's a lot of things that can make that number change, but this is where you can always find it. Okay. You guys have any questions? No? What about anybody on Zoom? Any questions?
All
No?
good over here.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, yeah, that is the 1003. I don't know if you guys will actually be running AUS yourself, but if you do, you would go here to services, request underwriting. Do you guys know what AUS is? No? Okay. AUS is
Underwriting.
a few different options. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are the government entities that give out the money for the loans, essentially, or approve. They give us the guidelines on what we can and can't approve when it comes to lending. So yes, our underwriters go through and look at the file to make sure that it's good, but these are like the standard guidelines that we would go by. So luckily, they came up with a system that once you complete this 1003, you hit this little Fannie Mae DO for ePass. You go in, make sure all of the information is there. It'll give you another little sheet to make sure everything on your 1003 is good. And you click submit, and it'll give you a pass or a fail. It'll give you a refer or ineligible. And it'll let you know exactly what's wrong. This person doesn't have enough money for short to close. This person isn't a citizen. Their credit score is too low. Their social security number doesn't match what we see in the government system for them. It'll give you the reasons and then you can go fix it. And sometimes you just can't. Their credit score is too low. There's nothing you can do about it right now, but you can go help them with their credit. You can tell them exactly what's on their credit and what they can do to fix that. But essentially the system, like I said, it's an automated system that lets you know whether or not this loan will be able to go. And that's it. That's what AUS is. And there's different types. Fannie Mae, that's DU. Freddie Mac, that's LP. So you'll hear people say, I ran DU and I got a pass, or I ran LP and it told me no. And they both have a little different guidelines. Like LP is more lenient when it comes to income and assets. DU is a little bit more lenient when it comes to the actual person. So everybody has their preferences. I prefer DU. Some of my colleagues prefer LP. On every file for me, I run DU first. On every file for them, they run LP first. And it's just, like I said, up to you which AUS system you like. And you guys will figure out which ones you guys like better. And then you'll run your loans to them to see if your clients are approved or not. Yeah. Okay, what time is it? Oh, okay, 45. And sure, no questions, everybody? All right, awesome, awesome.
So we will get that system installed and
Mhm.
everything? Oh, okay.
Yep, and you'll be able to go in and talk to the client over the phone and fill it out as you go along. Like I said, you're not gonna get it correct every single time, but that's what I'm here for, the loan officer assistant. I'm here for you guys. So I don't have to talk to your clients. Sometimes if you just need me to, I can, but I'm here to help you guys finish your applications, answer any questions you have. If you're trying to figure something out and it's not working for you, you can give me a call. I'll help you fix it. So that's what I'm here for.